Scream was directed by Matt Benedetti-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. It stars Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. Sorry this video was delayed because, well, I had gotten COVID. Because of this, I am obviously quarantined. And so, for the past few days, I've been just way too sick to do anything, including shooting these videos. But as of today, I was able to get the strength to at least shoot this video. Over the next few weeks, expect to see a lot more videos because I have a lot of ideas. And now, since I have the health to put those ideas into action, I can't be more excited to share them with you. Even though this is the 5th entry in the Scream franchise, it's just called Scream. And the filmmakers did this to poke fun at the trope of how horror movie franchises, after going on a long hiatus, call their new film just the title of their franchise. Halloween did this back in 2018, for example. Even though they're trying to poke fun of it, and they even make jokes about it in the film, it still doesn't make it any less annoying for me. When talking about this film or the original, I'm going to now have to either refer to the original as Scream 1996 and this film is Scream 2022, or I could just call this film Scream 5. But still, that creates a level of confusion when I talk about the original Scream. People aren't going to know if I'm referring to the original or this new one. And again, I know that the filmmakers did this to be self-aware, but you can be self-aware about something but still do the thing that annoys people, if you know what I mean. It doesn't make it any less infuriating for me. Going into this film, I had my expectations pretty low. The trailers didn't really look that good, and the creator of the franchise, Wes Craven, unfortunately passed away back in 2015. And without his presence, I had little faith in the ability to make a continuation to the Scream franchise. Also, this is a January film, and historically, films that come out in January aren't very good. The reason why this is the case is because December is the month where, studios drop the films that they are super confident in and that they believe will, sweep the Oscars. As you know, December 31st is kind of the cutoff point for Oscar season. And after the studios get all their Oscar films done, the movies that they are less confident in, they drop in January. Just look at all the movies that come out in January, and 9 times out of 10, they're pretty bad. This isn't always the case, though. Sometimes you do get some gems, and this is one of them. All I wanted this film to be was a nice little piece of escapism, something I could escape to for maybe about 2 hours. And I would say this film delivered on those expectations. No, this film isn't a masterpiece. It isn't even the best entry in the Scream franchise, but it served its purposes in entertaining me. I mean, this film doesn't try to jump for the fences. It isn't super deep, and the characters aren't amazing. I mean, that doesn't mean that this film is bad. I mean, far from it. I'm just saying that this film is just a nice, safe re-entry into the Scream franchise. And honestly, that's all this movie really needed to be. You know, when life gets extra challenging, all you need is just a dumb, fun film that you can escape to for 2 hours. Going out to the cinema to escape to a dumb, fun film is a joy that I hope everybody gets to experience. I mean, it's not the type of, life-changing, transformative experience that a Kubrick film would bring you. but it's a nice little release to let your problems go. This film will leave longtime Scream fans pretty satisfied. Ghostface has never been more savage and grisly. The kills in this movie are freaking brutal. The Scream franchise, as you know, is very meta, and it always self-references the current state of the horror movie industry. And that's kind of the case here. You get references to films like The Babadook and The Lighthouse, but it's more about toxic fandoms and how when a certain fandom doesn't get exactly what they want when they want, they explode and they throw a big temper tantrum over it. I mean, it's a pretty obvious reference to the fan backlash to The Last Jedi. I mean, I didn't like The Last Jedi. I had a plethora of problems with that film. But, I mean, this film kind of makes fun of that Star Wars fan that acts like how The Last Jedi ruined their life. This film never directly references Star Wars, but they get pretty close. They talk about how Stab 8 was a complete portrayal of the whole fandom and how it ruined the whole franchise forever, and my life is ruined now. And they even name drop Rian Johnson, which I thought was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, some people might find this just a weird direction to take the Scream franchise. I mean, it definitely is different, but I thought it was funny. Like the Star Wars sequels and Scream 4, the previous film, this film takes the Legacy-quel direction. I mean, this is a kind of controversial take on franchises. I mean, I think it's a little overdone now, but I think they did it well here. These new characters that they bring in, I think really provide some new perspective, some new outside perspective, that is, on the events of the previous Scream movies. Because the previous Scream movies are about Sidney Prescott, and here she kind of takes a back seat. And these new characters are really in the forefront, and she's just kind of there to provide some wisdom. I mean, some people might be disappointed by this, though I actually enjoyed this. I mean, I enjoyed the new characters. I mean, if the new characters fell flat, then I would be complaining, but I actually really enjoy the new characters in this film. Our main characters are sisters, who are played by Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. I mean, these aren't like 10 out of 10 amazing characters, but I really enjoy how they provide a lot of outside perspective to the Scream franchise, as I said earlier. And with Melissa Barrera's character, they take quite a risk with her. I'm not going to get into spoilers and say what the said risk is, but they kind of connect this character to the original movie, which I thought was really cool. I mean, some people might get annoyed by this and say that they're just tampering with the original film, but I didn't really see this at all, because it really didn't mess with the overall core of that film, the overall themes of that original film. It just kind of adds more to it. And I really enjoyed the direction they took with Melissa Barrera's character. Also, David Arquette does a stellar job as Dewey. He shows up rather early on in the film. He's the first legacy character to show up, and he gets the most character development and growth, I felt, out of all these characters. And he goes on his little mini character arc. And I honestly think David Arquette gives his best performance in this film. And as I said earlier, Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott kind of takes a back seat. Though in the third act, she really comes out and shines. Though in the first two acts, she really isn't there that much. I kind of wish that we got to see maybe a little bit more of her, though I was generally satisfied with her involvement. Also, there are some surprise cameos in this film that took me by surprise and actually got a pretty good laugh out of me. I'm not going to get into spoilers and say what these cameos were, though if you've seen this film, you will probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the original film, you make suspects in each of the characters, and this film does a pretty good job of making it seem like the killer could be any of these characters. But towards the end of this film, it got kind of predictable and pretty obvious to who the killers were. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but our characters make insanely idiotic decisions towards the end of this movie. And I'm saying idiotic for a horror movie, because, I mean, generally in horror movies, people make bad decisions. I mean, that's kind of a given, because when you're put in a situation like this, your judgment kind of goes out the window. But these decisions are so incredibly dumb that that excuse just doesn't fly. And there was a certain moment where a character just made such a dumb decision, I was just completely taken out of the movie, because I was thinking no human would make a decision that incredibly stupid. And I was just left so incredibly frustrated by this. Also, another rather minor issue I have with this film, they possibly could have shaved off maybe 15 minutes off the runtime, because I kind of felt like towards the end, I was kind of waiting for this film to end, to just wrap up. Despite of my few relatively minor gripes, I enjoyed this film. It isn't a masterpiece, it isn't Shakespeare or Kubrick, but it provided escapism for 2 hours, and that was all this film needed to do for me. Overall, Scream gets a B+. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review of Scream. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And a shout out to the Aglet and Murray Head. Thanks for watching.